And this thought came to me this morning. One of the main things I've noticed humans love to do is they love to divide, right? So we divide each other by race, by appearance, by intelligence, even at the lowest level when you come up in school, they separate you into classes and then sets, etc, etc, etc. What this actually does subconsciously is it begins to program into the human mind this idea of us and them, this them and us. You know what I mean? That's what I mean by separation. We look at us and we see ourselves different to animals, which is why we're okay with treating animals in a certain way. We see someone who's of a different complexion to us and we don't see ourselves in them. But one of the fundamental keys to understanding in this life, especially when it comes to mysticism and spirituality, is that we are all one. We all carry the same divine nature within us, and we are all just a different form of expression of that one. And so we still have individuality, but on the most foundational level, the source of life that flows within animals and plants is the same source of life that flows within you. Which is why scientifically, when you look into DNA, I believe it's about 60% of the genes that humans contain can be found within plants, right? You look at all these different animals and you see the similarities that we have with them. We aren't any different. Yes, our level of consciousness is different, but fundamentally, we all have the same life force that flows within us. And when humans begin to understand this, they'll begin to respect nature more. You know, guys who used to hug trees back in the days were seen as weirdos, but they've caught something. It's the importance of never neglecting any part of nature, because we are all one, okay? And as human beings, we were given dominion, we were given power, we were given authority over nature. The way I see it, just for me personally, is you can't necessarily have right ownership or right authority over something that you don't love. Reason being is because when you don't love something that is underneath you or under your power or control, you're going to be a bad leader, because you can't feel what your people feel or whoever's underneath you feel. You can't connect with them in a certain way. And so this whole idea of separation also links to the topic of sin, right? Which I know within Christian circles is focused upon, the word sin. And you know, we're taught that sin is separation and all of these kind of things. But if you understand that sin is separation, it means that sin is not necessarily an action, but it's a result of a separation of consciousness. Why? Because if you see yourself as one and entirely one with the divine nature and the creator of everything, it's impossible for you to have that sin nature. Yes, you may mess up, but as long as you don't ever see yourself as separate, the separation will never occur, right? So it's either you focus on the action or you focus on your consciousness. If you keep reminding yourself of your oneness and learn to rest and abide in that oneness, right, your tendency, your desire to act outside of that will begin to decrease. Yes, you may still fall into certain habits sometimes, but over time, that will be removed. And this has to do with separation, okay? When you begin to see yourself as one with everything, what happens is you begin to love more, you begin to love others more, yourself more, because you see yourself in everything. You see a child die and you see a homeless person, and instead of ignoring them, you recognize that within them is the same divine source that is within you. And this is how you begin to navigate the world in a much more loving way. And this is how you begin to tap into more high frequency vibrations. This is also how you begin to unlock wealth within your life. Why? Because when you see other people as yourself, your desire will be to help as many people as possible. And that's what business is about. It's about providing solutions to as many people as possible. I just want you to think about this, right? Measure yourself as you go throughout your day and you interact with people, interact with objects, with things. Just begin to check yourself about, you know, the whole us and them. You know, for a lot of people, it's racist jokes and comments. For a lot of people, it's, oh, I don't want to sit next to him, or, oh my gosh, they're so this, they're so that. Just begin to check yourself and monitor yourself and think, Am I creating a separation here that doesn't actually exist? You know, we see race, we see all these different things, and then we have history because of what other humans have done that comes into it and affects us emotionally. But that's because we haven't learned to view the earth and view humanity and view creation the same way God sees it, which is complete unity. You see an animal, you get disgusted by it and you want to kill it, right? That's an act of separation. It's all these things that come into play. So my key thing or thought that I want to leave with you guys, at least for this week or until I next upload, is just to begin to start to think about that. Think, how separate do I see myself as? Okay, now there's this talk about a remnant. It's another separation theology where it's us and them, right? Like, what philosophies, what things do I believe that cause me to see myself as separate from another group of people or another group of animals, that may make me believe that I am above a certain group of people and another group of animals? In the kingdom, yes, we all have our different positions, but what unifies us is that we are one body. Now remember, a body has different parts, and I'm sure you may have heard this before, but for each body to be effective, it has to have its own parts that move individually. Just because someone else doesn't move in the same way you do the same things you do, or subscribe to certain belief systems and things that you do, doesn't mean they're not effective in the kingdom, okay? Just because, for example, someone may not have 100% attendance at a meeting, or may not do certain things that other people do, may not fast as much, it doesn't mean you're better than them. Everyone has their own path, their own route, their own way of connecting with God, and it's important to respect that. I felt like that needed to be said, right? Because comparison is another thing that creates the whole separation. Competition creates separation because it's me wanting to one up on the next person and the next person to be seen as above someone else. And that's the Moses model of hierarchy, where you have one man and then you have people under them. The kingdom model is completely different, where you have groups of individuals and different people who can come together and flow within each other, who all have their own divine connection to God. Okay? But that's all for today. Bless you guys, and I hope to talk to you soon.